Trapped Games, Dragon Quest VIII. Originally released in 2004 for the PlayStation 2. Dragon Quest VIII was a JRPG, and at that time, on that platform, JRPGs were being very experimental in various ways. And Dragon Quest VIII stood apart by being a very traditional JRPG at the time. It had a comfortable and friendly-looking fantasy setting, turn-based combat, a small playable cast with defined roles in the story and in the party, and a very archetypical story about good versus evil. As the game starts, you name the silent protagonist. You are traveling with the king and princess of the kingdom you used to live at. But due to the actions of the antagonist of the story, that kingdom is now in ruins. The king has been turned into some kind of goblin creature, and the princess a horse. And you're traveling together to hopefully find a solution to all three of these problems. Before the game started, you already met a bandit that owes you a life debt. His name is Yangus. And if he were in a live-action movie, he would be Bob Hopkins. From here, you get to the first town in the game, and a scenario will play out that will be repeated throughout the game. You get to town in search of an answer to your problem with the king and the princess. You then discover some kind of problem in the town. In this case, finding the crystal ball for the fortune teller. You then resolve the situation, and you're given a small modicum of information to lead you to the next part of the game. The information, at least during the first half of the game, has to do with the antagonist, Dual Magus. And as you progress in the story, you will have two more characters join your silent protagonist and Yangus. A noble girl that's good with magic named Jessica, and a womanizing soldier from the church, Angelo. And in the original PlayStation 2 version, these are the only 4 characters you will have in the game. In the 3DS version of the game, there are 2 other characters that join your party. But I only have a way to capture PlayStation 2 footage, and not 3DS footage. The characters have roles to play in the story, and roles to play in your party. However, you do have some say in what role they play in your party. As each character levels, they receive skill points. Each character can put the points into different categories. Most of the categories are weapons, and one category is unique to each character. And depending where you invest your skill points will determine how that character performs in-game. For example, heavily investing in staffs for both Jessica and Angelo will grant them regenerating MP when using staffs. This will set them up to be almost pure casters, because they will have a number of bonuses for using spells, and absolutely no bonuses for doing basic physical attacks. So, before investing your skill points, it's important to think about how you intend to use your characters. As if you were so inclined, you could turn every character into a physical powerhouse, but in doing so, you would severely limit your options for things like healing. You don't get enough skill points to invest in everything, so you're best off choosing one weapon to specialize in per character, and also invest into the unique skill that each character gets. Courage for the hero, humanities for Yangus, sex appeal for Jessica, and charisma for Angelo. Each of those skills has a lot of utilities for the characters. Early on, you might think you need to invest in certain weapon skills for characters, based on what's available at shops. But not all that far into the game, you find out that is untrue, as early in the game you're introduced to the alchemy pot. This allows you to make items and equipment for your characters by combining various items and pieces of equipment. Put the items into the alchemy pot, walk around for a little bit till you hear a ding. And using the alchemy pot, you will be able to make equipment far superior to what merchants generally have on offer at any given point in the game. And you will find alchemy recipes in all kinds of ways, sometimes by talking to NPCs. other times by investigating bookshelves. And of course, if you're so inclined, there are vast charts available on the internet to tell you exactly how to make every item. At most points in the game, even if merchants don't have the kind of weapon you need for what you're specialized in, alchemy will provide you with a solution. So despite being a thoroughly traditional JRPG, there were some new ideas for both character progression and item acquisition. And while the story starts off as very typical, and unfolds in a thoroughly traditional way, there are various unique twists on the formula as you progress, which does prevent this game from feeling stale at any point. And it should also be noted that much of this game is voice acted, and the voice acting here is actually quite good and charming, both of which were kind of a rarity back in 2004.
Thanks to you, I managed to pull that little caper off without being caught. He was such an easy mark, I got a bit carried away. Still can't hang around. Don't want any more trouble.
What?
But why isn't Dragon Quest VIII available on modern platforms? Well, it is and it isn't. It is not available on PlayStation, Xbox, PC, or Switch. It is, however, available on iOS and Android. But how many people legitimately want to play a 60-plus hour RPG on their phone? I'm not really sure, personally. This game did receive a port to the 3DS. Not being a straight one-to-one port of the PlayStation 2 version, it actually enhanced Dragon Quest VIII in several ways, removing random encounters by making the enemies visible on the field, making the alchemy pot instant, adding 2 playable characters, and tweaking the Monster Arena minigame in a lot of ways. And the Monster Arena minigame really needs a video all its own. It's a very interesting part of this game. So ideally, if this game were to come to modern platforms, I would hope it to be derivative of the 3DS version, rather than the PlayStation 2 version. Or, if they were to offer both in one package, that would be even better, though I think we all know that is incredibly unlikely. And as there is no licensing issue or any other such nonsense, there is no reason this could not come to modern platforms. I personally think the only thing holding it back is that it's called Dragon Quest and not Final Fantasy. Of course, that could just be cynicism on my part. Please do subscribe, comment, like, and tell your friends.